My name is Annie, a famous, fair, wealthy, and beautiful girl in City C. I thought my life would be a smooth one filled with eating, drinking, and having fun. But on March 4th, 2530, zombies broke out. The end of the world came without warning, and the world was turned upside down in an instant. I actually escaped the zombie massacre thanks to a hot pot restaurant. This is all thanks to my quirky best friend Ning Wanwan. 9 months ago, she suddenly proposed to start a business and open a hot pot restaurant. I was shocked. After all, my father had warned me not to start a business, and I didn't have enough money. But Ning Wanwan said something shocking and asked me to take out the money I used to support Lin Yun and invest it. Speaking of Lin Yun, we just broke up because I consulted a fortune teller who said he was unlucky for me. Later, Ning Wanwan said that she wanted to open an air raid shelter hot pot restaurant, choosing a location on a small hill far away from the city. I really can't understand her strange actions. Until the day I was about to go on a blind date with David, I saw the tablet computer she left at my house and opened the browsing history. Those lines of strange search terms made me confused, especially the last one, zombie virus, which made my heart skip a beat and an inexplicable sense of uneasiness surge in my heart. Who would have thought that behind all this seemingly ordinary stuff, there is actually a secret of doomsday hidden? 9 months ago, start a business? Lily picked up a piece of tripe and put it in my bowl and lowered her voice calmly. Calm down, don't yell. I asked in confusion. No way. Why do you suddenly have such a dangerous idea? Lily said, stop talking nonsense. I just want to ask if you support it. I stared at the kelp boiling in the pot and said hesitantly, it's not about the money. You know, my dad warned me a long time ago that his money is enough for me to squander my whole life. But there is one thing I absolutely cannot touch: starting a business. Lily didn't say anything, just looked at me. I sighed and tried to change the subject. Besides, I don't have enough money on hand. Then invest the money you use to support Ethan. It should be more than enough, she said lightly. I almost choked and coughed repeatedly. She raised her eyebrows. Am I wrong? Look at you. I pointed at her and smiled helplessly. This is called investment, okay? There are not many handsome guys in the entertainment industry who look so natural. This is a sure-win business. So you two are still together? We broke up. He proposed it? No, I did. I pondered for a moment and said, I asked someone to calculate it, and his name and mine are incompatible. Lily couldn't help laughing. You don't really believe this kind of thing, do you? You must believe it. Every time my dad does a big deal, he will ask someone to tell his fortune, and it's very accurate. Oh, she looked at me with interest. Then can you help me ask what the name of this hot pot restaurant is? She used a drink to write 4 big characters on the table. Doomsday Hot Pot. Finally, I invested in Lily's hot pot restaurant, but her subsequent series of actions left me completely confused. Air raid shelter? Yes, my plan is to open an air raid shelter hot pot restaurant. She looked indifferent. I looked at the place she marked on the map and said worriedly, even if it's an air raid shelter, it's impossible for it to have traffic in such a remote place. We can definitely choose an underground shelter in Brooklyn or Manhattan. No, there are too many people. She refused directly. If there are too many people, it will lose its uniqueness. She said confidently, how can you and I be in the same boat with vulgar people? I am confident that I can make this store a well-known IP. The air raid shelter she chose was located at the foot of a small hill and had 2 entrances and exits. One was close to the mountain road and was spacious and easy to access. The other was only wide enough for one person to pass through and had a hidden exit, like an emergency escape route. This was once a wartime shelter, with the interior divided into power supply area, storage area, and living area, and complete sewage and ventilation systems. However, due to years of disrepair, many facilities have been damaged. That's not a problem. Lily patted my shoulder proudly. Install the door first. Okay, how much do you want? She gave a number, and my eyes widened. How much did you say? Is this number okay? She smiled awkwardly. I said angrily, are you installing a blast-proof door or building a bank vault? She said matter-of-factly, of course it's an explosion-proof door, and it has a fingerprint lock. She gestured on the design. It has to be safe. We are opening a hot pot restaurant, not building a military base. I sighed. The protests were ineffective. Lily purchased 3 heavy-duty blast doors, one for the escape route, one to separate the interior area, and one for the main entrance. She even put up an electric fence outside the door of the escape passage and decorated the outside of the electric fence with fake vines, which perfectly blended into the surrounding environment and could not be noticed without careful observation. Wait, why are you building a fence? We don't have electricity yet. Don't worry, the generator will arrive tomorrow. She patted my shoulder. Generator? Yes, a diesel generator. She nodded seriously. The next day, when I saw 10 8 kilowatts diesel generators neatly arranged outside the air raid shelter, my eyes went dark. Lily, what on earth do you want to do? Let me explain first. Wait, your phone is ringing. She pointed to my pocket. I took out my phone and answered the call. It was my mom. After a few simple words, I hung up the phone and looked at Lily in shock. David wants to go on a blind date with me. David? She immediately became interested. Is that David Smith, who is worth tens of billions? Yes. I nodded, and he flew to New York just to meet me. This shouldn't be the case. Could it be that he saw my beauty on the trending search and was fascinated by me? After thinking about it carefully, the more I thought about it, the more reasonable this speculation seemed to me. I can't let David down. I have to go home and touch up my makeup. I hung up the phone and turned to Lily. She smiled meaningfully. I wish you a successful blind date. After returning home, I fiddled in front of the mirror and prepared to go out in my 10 centimeters high heels. Before leaving, I caught a glimpse of the tablet on the sofa. Lily had dropped it accidentally. Thinking of her recent abnormal behavior, I clicked on her browsing history. How much food does an adult need in a day? How to grow vegetables in a dark environment. How to build a soundproof chicken coop. Principles of filtration system for small fish ponds. Emergency medical manual. Introduction to livestock farming. Me? Is she crazy? Is she having a mental breakdown due to too much work pressure? Just as I was about to close the tablet, an extremely eye-catching search record came into my sight. Zombie virus. Instead of going on a blind date, I turned around and went back to the air raid shelter. A group of workers are busy. Some are sticking sound-absorbing panels and explosion-proof materials on the walls. Some are installing high-efficiency filters on the ventilation system. And another team is debugging the circuit of a mobile diesel power station. In addition, there were several people digging a pit. I asked casually, and their answer almost made me faint on the spot. Lily asked us to dig a fish pond. She was really crazy. In the distance, Lily was wielding a hoe and digging the soil with great vigor. However, within 15 minutes, she gritted her teeth, threw the tool aside, and covered her wrist angrily. My shoulder hurts so much. I raised my eyelids and pointed out bluntly, "You're covering your wrist." "My wrist hurts too." She looked aggrieved, then rolled her eyes and said briskly, "Honey, I think we should hire someone to do it. This means we have to add another budget." I moved a folding chair and sat down, staring at her expressionlessly. "Kneel down. I want to interrogate you." She was stunned for a moment, her eyes suspicious. "Why are you going crazy in broad daylight?" I got straight to the point. "When will the zombie outbreak happen?" The air suddenly became quiet. She paused for a few seconds, then slowly turned around and stared at me. I also stared at her motionlessly. After a long silence, she finally spoke, her voice a little hoarse. For months later, she spent a long time telling this story. On March 4th, 2530, the zombie virus broke out and the world fell into chaos. The whole world fell so quickly, mainly due to two key factors. First, water pollution. The virus spread through water, and 2/3 of the population was infected in a short period of time. Second, the zombies' hunting instincts are aroused. Instead of wandering around like in movies and TV shows, they gather in groups and hunt survivors in a group-based combat. We call this phenomenon a zombie tide. The zombie tide is the most terrible disaster in the world. Lily whispered and couldn't help shuddering. Will the zombies evolve? Yes. Her eyes were heavy. After each wave of zombies, the surviving zombies will evolve. I took a breath and said, "What will the zombies that evolve 3 times become?" She glanced at me and said in a calm tone, "I won't live to see that time." I shut up immediately. Her expression was blank for a moment. Then she lowered her head, and I didn't know what she was thinking. It seemed that she was recalling some bloody memories that she didn't want to touch. I sat with her in silence for a while, then stood up and clapped my hands. "Okay, then we should get down to business." Lily frowned. "What?" I clenched my fist and said firmly, "Prepare for war and famine, and welcome war." I called my parents first and told them about the doomsday news. Lily said, "After the zombie outbreak, humans will quickly organize shelters and rebuild order with the shelters as the core." My dad thought about it and made a decision. He was going to enter the shelter. After the apocalypse, social classes will be reorganized. The elite will be destroyed, and only the center of power can stand on top again. Dad, your obsession with power is a bit morbid. I try to persuade him earnestly. He snorted coldly. Aren't you also morbidly obsessed with beauty? Have I ever told you that? As expected of my dad, he can shut me up completely with just 3 sentences. Come on, he's in his 50s, and it's time to work hard. Let him do it. I hung up the phone and turned to look at Lily. Honey, should we get some poultry? Lily's eyes widened with fear. I was stunned for a moment, then I jumped up in anger. Duck. I mean a real duck. The kind with a flat mouth. My parents quickly transferred a large sum of money to me and allocated another part of the funds to build a secret shelter. I have never seen so much money in my life, and my hands were shaking with excitement. But the first thing that puzzled me was where to get the diesel. An 8 kilowatts generator consumes 1.6 liters of diesel per hour, which is 38.4 liters per day. 5 years of reserves would require 70,080 liters of diesel, nearly 60 tons. The power area has a large capacity oil storage room, so storage is not a problem. But diesel is a controlled substance and cannot be purchased by private individuals. Just when I was at a loss, Lily found me and patted my shoulder confidently. Done. Me? How did this person do it? However, now that the electricity problem has been solved, the next step is to prepare for water. In the end times, water is more precious than gold. 2 people need 7,300 liters of drinking water for 5 years. I ordered 1,500 barrels of 5L purified water online in the name of wholesale purchase, purchased dozens of household water tanks, industrial water barrels, and even built 2 small water towers to store domestic water. In addition, we have also purchased water purification equipment, distillation equipment, and rainwater collection and purification systems to ensure that we can survive for a long time even if we cannot obtain external water sources. Now that the water problem is solved, the next thing is food. We want more than just a full meal, but a long-term sustainable food supply. In the deepest part of the air raid shelter, I built a small ecological farm with vegetable fields, fish ponds, and chicken coops. The vegetable fields use a hydroponic system and are equipped with automatic irrigation devices and full-spectrum supplementary lights. The fish pond is equipped with an aerator, a circulating filtration system, and an automatic thermostat. The walls of the chicken coop are covered with sound insulation to ensure that they do not become natural alarms. In addition, we have stockpiled a large amount of seeds, feed, fertilizers, and agricultural tools to ensure that this small farm can operate for a long time. 1 month before the zombie outbreak, my mother came and brought me a pair of homing pigeons. They were trained to be extremely accurate and had 3 fixed homing points: the shelter, the secret base, and my bomb shelter. However, what really shocked me was Lily, who came back in a modified SUV, dragged several heavy boxes from the trunk, and looked at me mysteriously. Guess what I brought you? I took one of them casually, and as soon as my palm touched it, my whole body was shocked. This metallic texture, a gun? She smiled proudly. We have all kinds of models. There are also several heavy machine guns. What on earth are you doing? She blinked. Oh my God. On the day of the zombie outbreak, Lily disappeared. I searched the entire air raid shelter and even checked the surveillance video, only to find that she was squatting by the vegetable field, holding a handful of soil in her hand and concentrating on something. I don't know why, but I suddenly felt nervous. What are you doing? I walked over quickly, my voice unconsciously rising a few notes. She didn't answer immediately, but pointed at a green seedling on the ground and said slowly, "What is this?" I laughed dryly. Grapevines. Not bad. She nodded. How long will it take for them to bear fruit? 2 years. She smiled softly with a hint of sarcasm. I don't know if we can live to that time. Her tone was so calm that it made me feel a little nervous. I quickly changed the subject. Of course. Look at this bomb shelter full of supplies. We can hide here forever. If one day we don't want to hide anymore, we can take some things to the shelter. That will be the peak of our lives. She listened to me rambling on and absent-mindedly scrolled through her phone until she suddenly uttered an oops. What's wrong? I looked at her warily. Did zombies appear? No. She grinned. It's your ex-boyfriend who changed his name and became a trending topic. Stop kidding. Really? Look, she held the phone in front of me. Ethan has changed his name to Elliot. Me? Lily shook her head and read out. Elliot means sunset. TSK, he really believed your lies. He said he was unlucky for you, and he actually changed his name. I stared at the screen, and my heart moved slightly. After hesitating for a few seconds, I took out my phone, edited a message, and sent it to Elliot. Go home and stock up on supplies. Store more drinking water and don't go out. After sending it, I put the phone back in my pocket. Lily narrowed her eyes. Can you bear it? Just let him come here. I shook my head and said without hesitation, men, as long as they want, they can have as much as they want. She smiled and gave me a thumbs up. I stayed awake all night, checking social media every once in a while, but I didn't see any news about zombies. It was not until the early morning, just as I was about to close my eyes, that I heard a strange, low, vibrating sound coming from the ventilation duct. It was like there was an explosion in the distance. I woke up suddenly, grabbed the telescope, and rushed to the observation station, almost bumping into Lily, who also came after hearing the noise. I raised my binoculars and quickly scanned the city. No, not here. Not here either. Wait there. At the entrance to the highway, a car was burning and overturned. A man was lying not far away, his life or death unknown. He was surrounded by a group of panicked people, one of whom was performing CPR on him. Ah! Lily suddenly screamed, with a trembling voice of fear. What's wrong? Look at his legs. Only then did I notice that the man's legs were twisted into an extremely unnatural angle. At this moment, his body twitched violently, and then, as if pulled up by an invisible force, he suddenly pounced on the woman who was rescuing him and bit her throat hard. The flesh on his face was stretched hideously, his teeth dug deeply into the opponent's skin, biting madly. He was no longer human. The people around were all stunned, and then they screamed and fled. However, just a few seconds later, 2 more people stood up staggeringly with empty eyes. They have turned into zombies. I put down the telescope and found that my palms were soaked with cold sweat. Lily was silent for a long time, her face pale. Is he the infected person Zero? I asked in a dry voice. Who knows? But his threat is not greater than the water pollution. She paused and murmured, there are 2 ways for the zombie virus to spread. One is being bitten by a zombie, and the other is drinking contaminated water. Hearing this, I breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was not airborne. The internet went viral. Zombies. The human race is doomed. Don't touch the water. Water is a source of pollution. The last time my mom called me, she told me not to touch the water. I don't have a mom anymore. You can't even drink the water? Then why are you still fussing? Go downstairs and wait to die. Ha! I'll die sooner or later anyway. So, I might as well join the zombie army. Am I hallucinating? Those people downstairs from my house are howling like wolves. Congratulations, bro, that's a zombie. Isn't this a side effect of eating poisonous mushrooms? I continued to scroll until I saw a message. It is March 5th, 2530. I have been bitten. I am sorry to say goodbye to the world in this way. Goodbye. I have never felt that the world is so beautiful. My nose felt sore and tears welled up in my eyes. Should I save a few people? No. I shook my head. In the end times, the only people who can survive are the most important people. After realizing this, I fell asleep and had no dreams that night. The next morning, I was awakened by distant howling sounds, which sounded like the whispers of wild animals and humans, wandering on the edge of death. I walked quickly to the observation station, where Lily was already. I raised the telescope, and the sight of city made my scalp tingle. Focusing on any corner, you can see burning vehicles, scattered supplies, blood-stained streets, and those wandering figures with strange postures. They were certainly not human. I murmured, the whole city fell in one day? Lily didn't answer, but just patted my shoulders silently. In this way, our life of coexistence with zombies began. Until one day, we found 2 survivors at the end of the road, a man and a woman. They seemed very alert, constantly lingering near the cliffs. They were looking for something. They were looking for our bomb shelter. Lily and I had no intention of falling asleep, so we went to the monitoring room to check the situation. The zombies were mainly concentrated in the city center, while the winding mountain road was relatively quiet. They can't open doors or climb stairs. How do they hunt? More importantly, how do they know which house contains survivors? I asked, frowning. Sense of smell, Lily whispered. Under normal circumstances, zombies have no sense of smell, but during a zombie tide, they can smell the scent of living people. They can't climb stairs, but they can stack them up. Stacking people. In other words, the zombies will first lock onto the target, then pile up in groups like a small hill, and finally break in through the window. I imagined the scene and shuddered. Wait, I suddenly realized a key question. They won't smell us, right? Uh. Lily dragged out her tone mysteriously. Not sure. Question mark. Don't look at me. I've never lived in a bomb shelter. She rolled her eyes. Fortunately, the zombies showed no signs of moving in our direction. I lay on the bed and wrote, Zombie Observation Log, under the dim light. On April 1st, 2530, the first zombie tide was observed. It is suspected to be caused by the moon halo phenomenon. Main manifestations: zombies gathered in large numbers and actively hunted. Zombie evolution status: not evolved. It is said that they may mutate after the zombie tide ends. Form: human. Intelligence: none. Actions are more like biological instincts. Features: moves quickly, is attracted by sounds, and has a heightened sense of smell when there are corpses. The howling of the zombies continued all night and gradually subsided until dawn. This was the 56th day of the apocalypse. Lily and I sat at the dining table, eating red oil hot pot while staring at the surveillance screen with concern. Two living people appeared on the screen. They were driving a modified off-road vehicle, speeding towards us, with 3 zombies chasing closely behind. The passenger window rolled down and a hand extended out, holding a pistol. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and a zombie fell to the ground. I exclaimed. Lily smiled bitterly. You saw it too? Yes, I saw it. Bullets can't penetrate. The zombies didn't change their appearance after the zombie tide, but their skin was no longer pure flesh and blood, and ordinary bullets couldn't penetrate their bodies. Unless a shot in the head. The situation became even more difficult. The car is getting closer. Is it coming for us? I narrow my eyes. Lily was silent for a second, wanting to say something, but stopping herself. What's wrong? Maybe I have to pick someone up. She stood up. Question mark. I'll explain it to you when I get back. She looked unnatural. Before I could even open my mouth, the SUV slammed to the brakes. A man stepped out of the driver's seat. Even though the surveillance footage wasn't clear enough, I could tell he was a handsome guy. He raised his gun, and with 2 bangs, he dispatched 2 more zombies cleanly and efficiently. Good shooting skills. I praised sincerely. His eyes fell on the surveillance camera, as if he could see me directly through the lens. I subconsciously tensed my nerves. Suddenly, there was a sizzling sound of electricity coming from Lily's waist, and she took out a walkie-talkie. A cold male voice came from the intercom. Apples, bananas, big pears. Question mark. Lily replied helplessly. Watermelon, grapes, and cantaloupe. Question mark. It's him. Lily didn't dare to look at me. I have to go pick him up. I'll go with you. I gritted my teeth and whispered, You'd better explain it clearly. Lily sighed. Actually, it's very simple. He is our financial sponsor. Financial sponsor? Yes, don't you know him? Lily said he is David. David saw us appear behind the ventilation window and smiled at Lily. That smile, however, was cold and without warmth. Then his eyes fell on me. His face was stained with blood and his clothes were covered with dust, but it only made his features look colder and deeper. He raised his hand and handed me a Beretta M9A4 pistol. A gift for meeting you, he said. I was stunned. As you can see, that's what happened. Lily whispered beside me. Our diesel, weapons, food, those most scarce supplies were basically obtained by him. I sneered. If he is too attentive without any reason, he is either a traitor or a thief. He doesn't want you to marry him, does he? What are you thinking? His only request is that he use this place as his base when necessary. Oh, I thought, so he wanted to go on a blind date with me for this? I don't know about that. Maybe he wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Lily raised her eyebrows. I looked up at David. He was looking at me too. His gaze was so direct that it made me feel uncomfortable. The passenger door opened and a man got out. He looked a little thin, with messy hair and dark circles under his eyes. But he looked good, like a Frankenstein. Buy one, get one free. I frowned. David, he's your friend? David didn't say anything, but opened the trunk directly. Inside was a box full of guns and ammunition. All yours, he said. Half an hour later, the 4 of us sat around the table, eating hot pot. The atmosphere was strangely silent. The Frankenstein, named Alex, was concentrating on eating, with a strand of messy hair on his head swaying. I couldn't help but take a few more glances. Eat quickly, David suddenly said, his eyes still fixed on me. We have to deal with the zombies after we finish eating. Lily showed her social skills. Are you going to throw the zombies off the cliff? Throw them away? Alex looked up and finally said his first word since entering the room. Isn't that a waste? What do you mean? David said casually. 3 pieces, that's enough. I narrow my eyes. What do you mean? Alex put down his chopsticks and looked at me meaningfully. You know the law of conservation of energy, right? The emergence of zombies breaks this law. He lowered his voice, and naturally, another force will arise to fight against it. Something's wrong. I frowned. I've really seen him. Why don't I have any impression of him? That's impossible. Lily said, you are obsessed with looks. He is so handsome. How come you have no impression of him? You only know one side of the story. I sighed. I'm a good looker, but his type is not within my aesthetic range. What I like is... I try to recall. He's really Ethan's type, handsome with a neutral beauty. David's facial features are too traditional. They don't hit my spot. Neutral beauty? You mean a little feminine? TSK, you don't understand. I wave my hand. A true beauty, whether male or female, should have some androgynous qualities. A man should be a little gentle, and a woman should be a little heroic. This is the ultimate beauty. Okay, you do know more about this than me. You have seen countless beauties and have rich experience. Are you praising me or insulting me? Our lives gradually returned to normal. Late at night, I continued to record my zombie observation log by the light of the bedside lamp. At the end of the diary, I paused, wrote down the poem from memory, closed the diary, and put it back in the drawer with care. I whispered softly, maybe we will meet again, or maybe we won't.